My name's Bronagh Munro. I'm a journalist.
And I'm on my way to meet a woman who wants me to help her catch a murderer. This woman believes that she has evidence connecting a man to a vicious stabbing that happened almost 16 years ago. She says it's a crime that has taken 2 lives. The first victim was the young woman stabbed to death. And the second, she says, is her innocent brother who's been convicted of the crime.
It's an investigation that will take me into a brutal and sordid world.
They're gonna steal my life. That's all, they're gonna steal my life.
It's turned our lives upside down.
He may have struck at random and is therefore extremely dangerous.
Why should I believe that you didn't do this, Omar?
I'd rather die in jail saying I didn't do it than say I did do it and go home today. And what's happened to her? She's bloody had her pieces cut off her, for God's sake.
Looking at your track record, you're an obvious suspect, aren't you? Hello, pleased to meet you.
Nice
Amy?
to meet you, yes.
Bronagh. After so long, it's finally good to see you.
I feel like I want to give you a hug.
Amy Benguit is a businesswoman who lives near Bournemouth on the south coast of England.
Peaceful.
It's really calm, it's lovely.
It's very calm.
How are you feeling? Are you anxious?
I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't expect, so obviously I've been waiting for this to happen and, you know, it's finally here, so the heart has started going again, yeah.
Well, it's a really long story, so tell me about Omar, how it all started.
It was a beautiful summer's day. I was down the beach with my daughter, and then I had a phone call to tell me that my brother had just been arrested for murder. That's him now, in prison. His name is Omar, and I've been fighting all these years to prove his innocence. Because I know my brother didn't do it. I know he didn't do it. I will never stop until there's a closure to this, until he's free. I will never stop.
How often do you talk to Omar?
He phones actually daily.
Does he?
Does do my head in. Hi, Omar.
Omar regularly calls from prison, where he's serving a life sentence for murdering a young woman in 2002.
How do you feel, what do you think when you actually go back to that day of your arrest for this?
It just burns me. Outrageous. You know, how a man could be fitted up and being convicted on no evidence. Not one piece of evidence can they prove that I'd done it. Because I didn't do it. I wasn't there. It's that simple.
I know, hon.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
You know, yeah.
So, chin up. What do I tell you? Be strong for me inside.
Yeah,
I'm strong on the outside, yeah?
As always. Bye.
All right, honey. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. He didn't do it. I know he didn't do it. It's destroyed our lives. It's ripped us apart. But I believe in justice, and it will prevail. Yeah.
Amy believes she now has evidence pointing to the real murderer. But first, she wants my help proving that the case against her brother was flawed. She even claims that the police framed him for the murder.
They know what they did. And they got away with it, they think.
That's one of the most serious accusations that you can levy at the police.
You need a lot of evidence for that accusation.
With your help, we'll get there. The boss has framed him, and they know it. And they know it. And I swear to God, I will not stop. I will not stop until I prove my brother's innocence.
It was here in the Charminster area of Bournemouth that a Korean student, Jong Oki Shin, known as Oki, was stabbed. This man, Omar Benguit, was convicted of her murder after 3 trials.
I took on Omar's case because there's something about it that just doesn't add up. There's no forensic evidence linking this man to the crime. And it took 3 trials to get a conviction. That must mean there's some doubt. 2 juries couldn't make up their minds. But as for Amy's claims that the police framed Omar, I just haven't seen any evidence of that yet. And Omar said on the phone that there wasn't a single piece of evidence connecting him to the crime. There must have been something. You don't get convicted of murder on nothing.
To help me assess the police investigation into Omar, I've enlisted the services of an old friend.
How's the flight? What's the weather like in Glasgow?
Absolutely beautiful.
Is it?
Tropical.
Brian is a retired murder detective from Glasgow, a city that used to have one of the highest murder rates in Europe.
How many murders have you investigated?
Easily, 200-300. Easily.
The guy that's convicted of the killing is still maintaining he's innocent, but after 15 years. How many of the guys that you've put away are still claiming that they're innocent?
I mean, there's not many. The majority more or less accept what they've done. 1 or 2 don't. As it was, there are a couple of serial killers that I was involved with.
First thing I'm going to do is take you to the scene of the murder. It happened in Bournemouth. Coincidentally, it's 15 years today since she was killed. The victim's a 26-year-old Korean student. Her picture's in that folder. Her name's Jong Oki Shin. She was killed walking home from a nightclub. She went up this road to drop her friend off. She drops her girlfriend off and she carries on up this street.
Yeah.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning, residents hear 3 loud screams. This is the side of the street that she's walking on. And that lamppost is where they find her body slumped. She falls with her head travelling towards St Leonard's Road, which is consistent with the fact that she's stabbed in the back and falls. The neighbours run out and they find her on the ground. They see no one.
The neighbours see, they just see a girl on the ground.
They just see the girl. They go straight to help her.
Did Oki say anything to any of these people?
Just the paramedic. She's talking, she's saying she's been attacked from behind. A man's wearing a mask. And then she sees her own blood. And that is what they were faced with on the morning of the 12th. This is a close-up version of that. So you can clearly see the blood splattering denim jacket. That's her jacket.
Was there any movement, anything else heard at the time?
At the time, witnesses which are further down the road say that they hear raised voices, but it sounds like they're having some kind of an altercation, some kind of a fight. And then these witnesses hear the screams.
Was there anything found here, any knife or anything?
There was no weapon found at the scene or since. The pictures of the wounds are here. 3 clean wounds. They were driven in with such intensity that they went in at least 12 centimetres into her body. It's really strange to be here on the 12th of July because this is the exact day that she was killed 15 years ago. And it would have been the morning time that the police would have been here trying to gather this evidence. She's lying down on the pavement in the UK on her own with no one or nothing that's familiar to her.
It's chilling.
Jong Oki Shin, also known as Oki, was a popular language student from Korea. She died in hospital from her wounds. It was a cold-blooded murder. And her killer appeared to have escaped without leaving any forensic evidence at the scene.
So far, no motive for this brutal killing. They believe he may have struck at random and is therefore extremely dangerous.
Police struggled to make an early breakthrough.
It's a month since the murder of Oki Shin.
50 detectives are involved in the hunt for the killer of South Korean student Jong Oki Shin.
But 4 weeks into their investigation, a heroin addict and sex worker came forward with a shocking story of how Oki was killed. For legal reasons, we are referring to her as BB.
BB, the main prosecution witness, she's a local drug addict and a prostitute. She tells police that she's driving through the town in the early hours of the morning and she's spotted by Omar and 2 other men, and they flag her down. Now, Omar's also a drug addict and she recognises him and the other 2 men from the local drug scene. So all 3 men jump in and they tell her they want to go to a local crack house, quite a notorious house in the area. So they're coming up Malmesbury Park Road, and as she's driving up, she spots a silhouette of a young girl. Omar Benguit shouts, "Look at the arse on her."
All right.
And he tells her to stop. She says Omar jumps out of the car first. The other 2 men get out a little bit after that, and they follow Omar back to where the girl was. BB stays in the car. She says she's there for about 5 minutes. The next thing she realises is that she hears footsteps running. She looks into her mirror and she sees one of the men running back down the road. Just after he gets back in the car, the other 2 men jump back in also. And they all start shouting, "Go, go, go." As she's driving, all hell's breaking loose in the car. At the same time, she sees Omar taking off his T-shirt and wiping his arm. She thinks it's blood. He's reached into the back and got a bag, and he stuffs the T-shirt balled up round something. She thinks that's the knife into the bag. And then he stuffs the bag underneath the seat that you're sitting in. The men then order her to drive them to a crack house to buy drugs. And later, they make her drop Omar home. So that leaves just the 2 men in the car with her. So BB says that the men force her to drive the whole way across town to the River Star here. They take the bag from underneath the passenger seat, and she believes they throw it in the river. In other words, they're getting rid of the evidence.
After BB came forward to Dorset Police, they looked for evidence to back up her story.
Divers have been searching the River Stour in Dorset today.
They won't say what they're looking for.
A bag of clothes was recovered from the river, but there was no DNA evidence linking them to Omar or the murder. But the police found witnesses from Bournemouth's drug scene who backed up parts of BB's story.
The prosecution alleges that the man responsible for Oki's murder is Omar Benguit, a 31-year-old local man.
Omar was accused of stabbing Oki to death in the street after she refused to go and party with him. After 3 trials, he was found guilty of murder in 2005. But how strong was the evidence against him? Brian has been reading some of the transcripts from the final trial.
There's no forensic evidence linking Omar to the crime. They haven't recovered, they haven't found a murder weapon. There's nothing.
But then when you look at the fact that there's 17 witnesses who've come forward, they've given statements, they've gone on with that and appeared at court on 3 occasions. It's unusual to see so many witnesses coming forward.
Really?
And sticking by their story. You know, I haven't had that often. And then when you look at the evidence of BB, the main witness, and there's witnesses there who are supporting what she's saying. He was seen in the crack house, he had people with him, there was blood on him, and then there's other witnesses who are speaking about him being comfortable with knives, and there's a number of witnesses speaking about his excessive crack habit, the fact that he was motivated sexually, particularly when he was on drugs, and crucially, there's witnesses talking about Omar having actually confessed to killing Oki. So when you add all those factors together, that's a lot of evidence, that's a strong body of evidence against him.
And what about the allegations that Omar and his family are making, that the police are leaning on witnesses and that they're trying to frame him for the murder?
I mean, I take that with a pinch of salt, not just because I'm an ex-police officer, it's just, I don't see any evidence of that.
I mean, what he's essentially saying is that these 17 people all decided to get in a box and tell lies about him.
Now, the police are good at doing a lot of things, but to get 17 people to all agree, independent people, to all agree to the same thing, to me it's a bit scary if that's all you're relying on to say the police are corrupt. And anything the family said to me, I would have one eye on that consideration.
Well, they're biased, aren't they?
They've got an interest. And if somebody's got an interest, you've got to question it.
Yeah. And the other thing that is really significant, I think, with Omar is that Omar has no alibi for that night.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know where he is. Well, he says he doesn't know where he is.
I get how the evidence presented in court could have persuaded a jury to convict Omar. But I need to understand his past better. Is there anything there to suggest that he was capable of murder?
Tell me a bit about Omar. I want to find out about what kind of boy he was and how he ended up being charged with murder.
He's going to kill me for this, but yeah, has to be done. Right. That was when he was about 5. Cheeky, big-eyed little boy. He was so sweet. He was the youngest, obviously, of the family, so yeah, we all looked after him. That's where he started going to school.
Did he enjoy school?
No. He had a very hard time at school. Dyslexia wasn't talked about much, so he was sent to a school where kids had behaviour problems. Yeah, so he left school without any qualifications and started, I think he started taking his first drugs when he just left school. And then it just went downhill from then. To the extent where I used to actually phone the police on him because he was stealing from us. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that person is. It's just so shocking to see where he's ended, how he's ended. I don't even recognise him. I know he was a little bit of a tail rag because he got himself involved with the wrong people. But he's not a murderer. I know my brother. I know he's innocent. Thank you. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Amy's right. Toe rag to cold-blooded killer is a huge jump. I want to find out more about Omar's past crimes for myself, so I'm visiting the newspaper archives. Crucially, I want to know, did he have a history of violence?
I've just found a list of Omar's previous convictions. He's over 60 criminal offences, and one of them is for stabbing someone in the chest. And the judge made a comment in a previous trial that he felt that Omar would kill someone one day. This guy was out of control. He's so capable of this.
It seems that Omar is more than just the toe rag Amy described. But this won't be the only time I question her judgment.
Amy, you do realise that if this is true, you've broken the law?
Never. Never. I was finding the truth.
This will be an investigation with many surprises.
It's really quite unbelievable.
By the time I finish looking into Omar's case, I won't be investigating one murder. I'll be investigating 3.